Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the ninth episode of FettylationsRatedR. Today, I'm joined here by some two absolute legends. To my left, obviously, you guys remember Regan Nice. Yeah, and to my right, we have a complete stranger who we just met and he wanted to be on the podcast.
Yeah, so they found me in Kenilworth at an old lady's home.
Yeah, so just tell us a bit about yourself, bro. Tell us why you're here.
My name is Benjamin Green. I'm a martial artist and a gym enthusiast. I also have finished my first year of psychology studies. I run an online e-commerce business with my brother, and then I have a few other side hustles such as freelance editing. So a little bit of a jack of all trades, and I'm here to just learn and share some stories.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. I did a podcast in the beginning of the year called Escaping the Matrix Part 1. I'm going to make this one Escaping the Matrix Part 2. I haven't, we all need to escape the Matrix, and I haven't developed an actual plan yet on how to escape the Matrix. I have an overview of the stuff that I want to do, and I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything happens for a reason, and people come into your life for a specific reason. The reasons why these guys are on here for the Escaping the Matrix Part 2 is because I feel like they will be a big part to play in my life when I do escape the Matrix, because I look up to both these guys. Both these guys are very driven, very motivated. I think I work hard, but Benjamin never fails to remind me that I'm not working hard enough, so I appreciate that. And that's something you need, boys. You need accountability. You need a lot of people around you. I want to get us started off on our first topic of conversation, something that is on my mind a lot constantly, and I want to ask it to Benji. So I'm sure you're aware that there's a large market in the world right now in terms of pharmaceuticals that is just like, I don't want to say making up stuff, but there's a lot of profit. And
yeah.
There's a lot of diseases and there's a lot of mental illnesses that come up, and then they make medication for it, but it's just profit driven, right? And I'm a person that believes that if you look for something, you will find it. Like if you want to be let's say body dysmorphia, for example, and you want to believe that, okay, I'm not good enough, then you won't be good enough, because people say you'll never lose body dysmorphia. But recently, when I look in the mirror, I see nothing but success and happiness, and I'm just happy about it because I've trained my mind to convince myself that I know that it fucks with me, and then I just do opposite. And I think what the world does and the universe does nowadays is that they enforce that little bit of chance that body dysmorphia might be real, and they maximize it. And then they make sure they put a pill, because personally, everybody that I know that's on antidepressants has a worse life on them. Like they get fatter. Obviously, if you get fatter, people are going to treat you. You know what I mean? It's never good. So I want you to, basically my question is to you, like, how real do you think mental illness is, and how seriously do you take it?
So first of all, one of the most overdiagnosed disorders currently is ADHD.
Yes.
So ADHD is obviously supplemented with things like Adderall and Ritalin, maybe even Concerta. In my experience during high school, I even saw many of my mates using these pharmaceuticals to boost their academic performance just out of academic stress, let's say. What's interesting though is rats have a very similar nervous system to human beings.
Yeah.
Okay. And they are very physical, especially when developing. They love playing, wrestling. And what they found was the rats that were prevented from playing, from wrestling, they ended up having underdeveloped prefrontal cortexes. Their attention spans were less, as well as they couldn't solve complex tasks. The only way to save a rat that had been prevented from play as a kid was to put that rat on Ritalin. And that's quite an interesting one, because it makes you think maybe things like iPads or whatnot, putting a kid in front of technology, preventing them from playing, might completely fuck up their attention span, having them then rely on drugs such as Ritalin.
Not to mention the fact that at school you sit down for 5 hours per day and told to sit still by teachers.
Yeah, I always find it very interesting because, they used to, as a kid, I know Regan can relate. They make a lot of decisions for you. So Regan's mom, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to. They sent him to homeschool because they thought there was something wrong with him, which there clearly isn't. And my entire schooling career, they used to tell me that I had depression and that the stuff that happens to me results in depression. And now that I'm grown and now that I have my own opinions and stuff, and my thought processes are much more efficient, I realize that I don't have depression. Like it's a word that's thrown around so easily, and everybody has it nowadays. And I blame the big pharmaceutical companies, bro. Like I blame the matrix. That's what it is. It's the matrix. Everything is profit driven in this world. And again, if you look for something, you're going to find it. So tell us your thought process and like how you feel now about homeschooling as a whole and how that affected you and stuff like that.
Homeschooling did affect me in certain ways. Like during the beginning of homeschool, I did have, I would say, better academic performance because obviously I had one-on-one teaching, but it also had a big impact on the socially developing side of myself because I was alone all day, not going to a normal public school, not being influenced by anybody around me. And I think that's also caused my brain, I don't know if Benjamin can maybe explain this a bit better, but I think it caused my brain to like advance in sort of a way because I was around adults all the time. So my thinking was kind of more mature than the people around me. So when I was around kids my own age, it was like I couldn't really relate to them. And yeah, but that sort of gave me like a little bit of a social awkwardness, I guess you could say. And when I first went into like a school situation, a public school situation, I didn't really fit in and I kind of struggled in that department.
It's a topic that I don't want to say infuriates me because I don't have children of my own, but the thing is about being a child is that decisions are made for you. And I remember I had this transport lady one time that her kids used to go to homeschool, and then she was talking about she could never send them to public school and stuff like that because she's so afraid of what might happen to them. And I remember thinking to myself, I was so angry. I remember thinking to myself, you're crippling your kids because they're going to leave home eventually and they're going to go outside into the real world. And when they do, they're not going to know how to do stuff. They're not going to know how to relate to people. And subconsciously, they're going to become people pleasers, which makes them easier to bully, easier to take advantage of. And like certain stuff that happens to some kids, like when they get in trouble for doing certain things, it's not even them. They didn't even want to do those things. It was just the influence about the people around them. And it determines how easily influenced you are. If you came from a homeschooling environment, if you weren't loved as a kid at home when you're young, when you go out into the real world, you will be very, very easily manipulated. Very, very easy. You can make anybody do anything. Yeah. And I think that's unfair. I think that's unfair for a child, to have no say in how they want to be raised, and just to deal with to have to deal with the mother's insecure. I don't want to say it's not insecurities, but her worries. The whole world as a whole is very worrying. There's a lot of stuff happening, but the only way to deal with fear is by facing it head on. And you need to teach your kids that at a young age. That's what I always think about. The only thing I think about the most, probably the most thing that occupies my mind the most, is the version of me that marries a beautiful woman with nice characteristic morals and our children. The main goal is the children. Like the women, yes, they have to be because they give my children their mentality. And if I have a daughter, God forbid, if I have a daughter, then my wife's characteristics are put onto her, and I want them to be as perfect as possible. Even there's a saying, it goes, perfection is overrated, but chasing it isn't. And,
absolutely,
that's my take on it. That's the only thing I think about. And another thing is the reason I'm going to go back to the daughter thing. The reason why I wouldn't want to have a daughter, because in my book, the right way to raise a daughter is letting her do what she wants. So there's a lot of memes on TikTok and everywhere. I'm sure you guys see them a lot, where it's like when my son asks me if he can bring girls home, it's like, yeah. And when my daughter asks if she can like hang out with the guy, I'm like, no ways. That's the wrong way. That's a backwards way of doing it. The way I do it is I'd let her do whatever she wants. Because the earlier she gets it out of her system, the better, because she's going to realize the world doesn't have a positive take from it. Like, look at girls that have been to Catholic school or church school, and look at them now. Like, let me give you an example. I'm sure you guys have seen Too Hard to Handle. I'm sure you guys have seen The Perfect Match that just came out recently. I was watching it. And Francesca, sorry.
Why are you watching that?
Dog caught me lacking, I guess.
You remind me of my brother. I also caught him watching this shit.
But I'm sure you guys do know Francesca, though.
No.
Okay. I'm around the right people, but
continue the point though.
To feed my point. So she went to Catholic school, and she's an absolute freak. And it's not just her though. It's like I've been with a fair amount of girls to kind of place them in the categories where they need to be placed, so I don't hurt myself in the process. And Catholic church girls are the freakiest.
It's always the church
It's
girls.
always the church girls.
Always.
Everybody knows that. And that's for a reason. It's because when they were younger, they were in such strict conditions and an environment that was so strict that when they go out, they never want to experience that ever again. So they overcompensate. They overdo it. They overdo it to prove to themselves that I'm finally free, which is not what I want my daughter to do. There's a chick. So I want to tell you guys a story. So there was these two girls that I was seeing, and they were friends. And I think at some point it became quite obvious that I was seeing the both of them. And then the one was significantly older than the other one. And I remember that weekend, I ended up getting with the older one. And then the younger one we were all talking, and she was like, yeah, I'm just going to become a hoe because you keep hurting me and blah, blah, blah. And I remember the older one told her, the older one is a year older than me, and the younger one's a year younger than me. And the older one told her, she said, trust me, you do not want to go down that road, because I went down that road when I was younger and I still haven't recovered from it. Yeah. There's a reason why both these girls never ended up being my girlfriend. The older one, who I really did care for, like, she had a past that was hectic, right? But it was so long ago that at some point I started to forget about it. But you can never, like, when people get heartbroken by people that have hurt people in the past, I ask myself, what were you thinking? Look at the track record. Like, you should account for that if you want to give your heart to someone. So the track record wasn't good. And the younger one was a year younger than me. So that means that she mentally, I also have to think about how she's going to act when we break up, right? I don't want to be hurt. I want her to at least wait like 4-5 months. And, you know, like a proper girl would, like, literally, like, be unable to give herself to somebody else after the relationship. And I didn't feel like she was the type of girl to do that. I felt like she would have just gone off with other people. So I never cuffed them both because for that reason, which is a real shame, because I cared for them both very, very much. But, you know, stupidity ends up hurting people, bro. I don't know about you, Benji, but I've never had my heart broken. And it just, a lot of people are very focused on themselves. And just because I haven't had my heart broken doesn't mean I can't deep how painful that must be, how hard that must be. And, you know, I don't think I'm ready for that in my life right now, because it can either break you.
Have you never been let down?
I've been let down.
Okay, but that's sort of like a mosquito bite to a cut of what. So being let down to being heartbroken is like a mosquito bite to a cut. So it's obviously a smaller scale. But something that you brought up there, which I thought was quite interesting, this is even something that Tristan Tate had covered, which I completely agree with, which is, if you do split with a girl, let's say it's been 6 months, and she comes back to you. If during those 6 months she was with no one else, then you might actually have a chance of taking her back. But if she was with other people, and then she's weighed up the options, then she comes back and says, I want you.
It's very unlikely that she's going to still use a waste.
Yeah, it is, but I've grown and matured, and I guess I don't want to say my standards have lessened, but I've accepted reality to a certain extent. So,
and what is reality?
Reality is
your reality. What is your experience?
I'm like Tristan. I don't want to say I'm like Tristan Tate, but we operate the same. In those 6 months, he would have gotten with other girls. In those 6 months, I would have gotten with other girls. So in my experience, I wouldn't expect the girl to constantly watch me and hear about me getting with other people and for her to do nothing. I would expect it. Actually, I'm lying. I would expect it. But like, being a reasonable person, bro, you have to just sit with yourself and ask yourself, like, who do I think I am? Who do I think I am to fuck the whole world? And then she hangs out with one guy and I call it off. I used to be like that when I was younger, and now I'm growing up and I'm starting to become a more reasonable person. And I guess Andrew Tate's whole point is that women and men have different roles. They behave differently. A man can sleep with someone else and still love you. Loyalty and love are two completely different things, whereas with girls, they can't give themselves to people if they don't love them. So when she's been with other people, I'm going to understand that she had to have had feelings for them to a certain extent. And I'm going to understand that even though those feelings were there, she realized that she can't replace me and that the feelings she has for me are much stronger. It's all about how you look at it. And, you know, it's like someone said to me the other day that, you know, I know she's a hoe, but she makes me a better man. And, you know, like, you know what I mean? Sometimes
how's that work?
It's a hell of a rationalization.
Sometimes you have to weigh the pros and the cons, you know? And I never want to depend on someone, because it's much easier with the girl, with the companion. Everything is much easier, more. It's enjoyable. You enjoy the journey much more. And when you do get those lows, which they do come, everybody's going to fall and then build themselves up. If you do fall and a girl is there to help you and pick you up, you're going to get into your head that without her, you wouldn't have been able to do it, even though you know you can. And eventually, at some point when she leaves, you're going to feel like, I can't do this without you. It depends on the person that you are. I like falling by myself. I like falling and picking myself up because then I know what I'm capable of as an individual. And then one day when someone does pick me up and help me, I don't need it. I liked it. Do you know what I mean? I appreciated it, but I didn't really need it. And that's just the reality of being a man, in my opinion, is that you have to be the pillar. So my chick and I once did edibles one time. And it was my first time, it was her first time, and I told her not to do it, but she didn't listen to me, obviously. Now, I don't know if you guys have had edible trips, but they are fucked. Yeah. They are fucked. Yeah. Now, the only thing that was keeping me from losing it completely was the fact that I was the man in the relationship, that I had to keep the pillar. Every time she looked at me for comfort and support, and she can't look at me for comfort and support if I'm fucking shaking and nervous. She has to look at a firm, strong, standing still man, and that's the analogy you have to use in life when you have a companion. I respect girls. I respect women that do stuff for themselves, and I'm not going to lie. I do find it very intimidating. One of my biggest fears, because I'm very into gym girls. One of my biggest fears is that I come across a girl that is buff, built, lifts a lot, and she lifts heavier than me.
That's why you need
it's like, fights. What the hell?
That'd be a hard pill to swallow. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys think? Take it.
What do you think, Reed? For me, it's like I am more of a masculine dominant man. So I wouldn't go for a girl that is like stronger than me and is going to try and take over in the relationship and be the dominant one, because that feels wrong to my core.
So what you're saying is you're not good enough.
What do you mean not so?
So if she's stronger than you, she can motivate you to become stronger. So if you don't like it, which we the same, by the way, I'm a dominant man, but I'm not delusional to think that there's no girl out there that I'll be into that isn't stronger than me. You know?
I don't know. It's a big put off for me.
It also the same for me. It'd be a hard pill to swallow, but I think it would make me a better person in the long run. Unless,
I don't know, maybe.
Unless you don't think you have what it takes to beat her.
I hear you, but it's like, are we talking physical or mental strength?
It's basically an analogy for everything, right? So it's even like when you're older, a chick earns more than you, has a better business than you, earns more money. Let's say you both are earning lots of money, both of you are in your bag, but she has a bigger bag. But it would still intimidate me. I won't lie. I'm very self-aware. It would intimidate me, but it wouldn't deter me from the mission of beating her.
Yeah,
those relationships don't work though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Benjamin on that one. Gonna have to agree with Benjamin on that one, because it's like, if she has all of those things and she is more career focused, she's using her masculine energy, because being career driven, being goal driven is a masculine trait. So if she's doing that, that means she's naturally going to be the more dominant one in the relationship. And women are not actually that good at directing masculine energy.
I agree with you, but you not think it's like let's say Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example, right? Jay-Z dominates her in the masculine traits, even though she has a lot of masculine traits, but they power together. You know what I mean? Do you not respect it and look at, like, the only thing I want for my companion is for her to have compassionate, kind heart to raise kids and stay at home. That's what I want to, but I won't be deterred if she wants to be career driven, as long as she knows what the main purpose, you know what I mean? The main road we're going down. So I won't lie and say that I wouldn't be intimidated, because I would, but I do like a challenge. I do like a challenge that I would. And she would make, like, let's say you're dominant masculine making lots of money. You came across her and you know you have what it takes to beat her now, and she's also growing and growing and growing. Eventually, you're going to end up growing further than what you wanted or what you imagined. You're trying to keep up with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just, that still doesn't kind of align with me. I just can't see myself in that position, you know?
Yeah, and you were saying it wouldn't work.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. So there was quite an interesting article that I'd read that was done at an Australian university, where they studied two things, comparing men and women in the workplace. The first thing was uniform. They found that uniform on a man had quite a significant increase in his attractiveness towards women. Whereas for a woman wearing a uniform, most of the times it was stagnant, and on a rare occasion, it was a decrease in attraction. women are then seen as more attractive in casual dress, or maybe smart dress, but a dress, not smart dress as in a suit. Secondly, men are more attractive when they earn more. And I can throw all sorts of words around, but that's as simple as it is. Men are more attractive when they earn more. Whereas with women, okay, I don't know if you agree with me here, but Oprah's very wealthy, and I sure as hell would not have sex with her. So I feel like if you're a 50-year-old man who's, let's say, a golf player, let's say Tiger Woods, for example, who has reported having buses of Swedish models outside of his Las Vegas hotel. That's a very different situation to being, let's say, Ellen DeGeneres or Oprah Winfrey, who are in their 40s, 50s, worth millions. The money might actually even have a decrease in their attractiveness because they would have then experienced more out of life. You want to be the one opening, let's say, the first door for your girl into the McLaren. You don't want her to have been picked up by 5 other guys in McLarens or to have her own McLaren.
Yeah, it's because you want to show her the world.
Exactly.
You want to be the vehicle through which she
What did they
experiences the
say
world.
in Aladdin? I can show you the world.
I can show you the world.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. So back to what I said when I was calling Regan insecure. You know what I think it is? I think it's literally an attraction thing. Like, he does not find it attractive. And it's as basic as that. Like, I wouldn't judge anybody for that. I love challenges because they will break you or they will build you. And, a hard pill to swallow would be you not being able to beat your chick. That would be a hard pill to swallow, bro. That'd be a hard. But I'm interested because every sort of environment has a lot of education to give, a lot of perspective. And I don't know how I'd be able to cope with an environment where I wasn't the breadwinner, as you say. I wouldn't know, and I'd be interested to see that side of myself and how I would be able to handle it. That's partly the reason why I watch the reality TV shows that I watch, because there's just a lot of perspective and a lot of psychology in it. One of the first shows I watched to get me onto the psychology road of things was X on the Beach. And it was extremely interesting because the dynamics of the show was they would bring you onto a show and they would bring you into like let's say Puerto Rico in a villa, beach, basic stuff. And then what they would do is they would convince you that you're on the show to find love. I don't watch Love Island. I think it's cringe, right? Because, okay, I'll get back to that point. Anyway, so to convince you that you're finding love. But it turned out that they were there to bring all your exes that you've had into the same house with all these people,
Exactly.
right, for like a week or so. And it was very interesting because certain people had... So certain people had like, okay, one person that was there was Ghadzi from Geordie Shore, right? So we know Ghadzi is going to clean the house up because he's popular, cloud famous and all that stuff, right? So he does that, and as he's cleaning up the house, his ex-chick comes on. This is his ex-fiancée, right? And he left her at the airport in Australia because he just wasn't ready to commit and he didn't communicate anything. So that was a rough patch for him. And then she pulled up, and then half of the girls that he had slept with on the show were her friends. And then to make things worse, they bought girls that he cheated on her with while they were engaged. And one of the girls lived in Australia, which is where her parents live. So they went on a trip to Australia to go meet her parents together. And then he ended up cheating on her with some other girls, right? Then they bring these girls to the same house and he's living with them. And somehow, some way, this guy managed to sleep with all of them again. The fiance, the cheating, all of them again, somehow, somewhere. And I don't know, I don't care who you are, no matter how much clout you have, no matter how much money you have, no matter how pretty you are, that takes skill, game, and manipulation. Like you gotta give it to him. And I learned a lot from it, bro. I learned a lot because you must also understand the dynamics is that this chick that was the fiance was obviously wifey material. If this guy's like a top shaggy, he knows a hoe when he sees one. So he saw this chick raised right, beautiful, wifey material, and respects herself. But she still went back running to him. And to make things worse, this is on public TV, which means her parents are seeing this. Everybody she knows is seeing this. But she didn't care because she was so into him. And I'm like, bro, that is a different level of, like, you know what, game. Like pure game. And since that day, I was attached to see like how it works and why it works. And another interesting thing. So he was the biggest star in the house. And towards the end, they brought another ex on, but he was a guy, right? when everybody knew Gaz. So the minute guys saw Gaz, they were like, bro, like my bitch is gone, right? Ashley came, and this is an interesting. So Gaz settled down with one girl. He settled down with one girl, and he liked her, and blah blah blah, and stuff like that. But then when Ashley came, so Ashley, one thing he had was that he was buffer than everybody else. He was just a big Viking-looking motherfucker, right? And that, you know what that sparked in the rest of the guys in the house? Insecurity. So now they were sitting around the table before he comes, and they were talking shit about him and seeming insecure in front of the girls. So when he came on, all the girls naturally went to him because in their mind, there's a reason why they're insecure about him. There's a reason.
Yeah.
And the thing is, girls don't care about you being buff and stuff like that as much as you think they do. They don't. But they care about what it brings, what type of attention.
They care about status.
Exactly, and what type of treatment. And the fact that Gaz, a star, was so insecure about this guy and he was talking shit, and the guys were like, yo, no, it's fine, we're gonna show him. And then when he comes in the house, all of them run to him and greet him and like, yo, what's up? And the girls are obviously seeing this, like, okay, so there's something about this guy. And then that's when I started going to the gym because I'm not even joking.
Good motivation.
I'm not even joking.
The origin story, yeah.
Literally, because the one thing that I saw was that he was just bigger than everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, he's just big. And I always like, in my mind, it's like anything can happen. You could end up in one of those houses. And the thing is, you don't want to be embarrassed. It's much easier losing your goal in the real world than it's losing it on TV.
Yeah.
When someone takes it from you on TV, that's crazy. That's insanity. And the thing is, it's nothing to do with the size or how you look. It's what's in here, the masculinity. That's when it took me a while to figure out what it was.
Yeah, mindset.
Yeah, the mindset. At first, it was at face value, it was just like being buff. Okay. And then slowly, when I grew, it's like the being buff and being built is within the masculinity. And then I started to protract my masculinity out into the world, and it was rejected, and it was called toxic. And then I couldn't figure out why. And then I wanted to take a stand to fight back. Then I started my podcast, and then as soon as I started my podcast, Andrew Tate goes viral. I was so on his dick, bro. I won't lie. Like, I'm not one of those top G fans, but I was so on his dick because I was like, this guy, because it's easy for someone to ignore someone's opinion. A lot of people are very based on themselves, but nobody can ignore Andrew Tate. Everybody has to have an opinion on him because he's just in everybody's face.
Yeah.
And the message that he's portraying across, a lot of people don't like it. I was saying to someone, speak to a girl and put the words masculinity, men, and empowerment in the same sentence, and watch how seriously, like how quickly they stop taking you seriously.
Welcome to the Matrix.
Literally, how quickly they stop taking you seriously. And just because they stop taking us seriously doesn't mean we should stop taking ourselves seriously.
But it's funny because they stop taking us seriously and then they on our backs about it, but yet those are the guys that they sleep with.
Exactly. I was explaining to someone that so I'm very vocal about the game that I give out, and a lot of girls have been saying I give them the ick. And most of the girls that have been saying that are girls I've been with, blah blah blah. So obviously it hits they judge me a bit more because they're obviously attracted to me. And what was I gonna say? So why it gives them the ick? Game is like jokes. It's like comedy. If you explain a joke, it becomes less funny.
Yeah.
It's much better when you people just get it automatically. It's the same thing with game. Game is game, but no one teaches you it, no one talks about it. The minute you talk about it, even though girls know it's true, it gives them the ick. So for example, let me give you an example. Recently I was talking about a story. So I got stabbed on my wrist. And I was talking about a story about when I was trying to get with a girl and she wasn't interested. And then the minute she saw the scar, she was interested, and she said it gave her. She had a scar fetish and whatnot. And I was saying on my Instagram, I was saying that that's a red flag. I would be scared to be with a girl like that because she would get me killed just for own entertainment, type of shit. And then 2 girls actually unfollowed me, 2 girls that I know. And then I put 2 and 2 together very quickly. One of these girls that I've been with had told me that we're having sex to beat her up, which obviously I didn't do. But that's the type of thing she was into. So when I was saying this is a red flag, it hit home for her. That's what she likes. She likes it. And at the end of the day, she doesn't care if I'm right or I'm wrong. She just cares that it affects her, which is a problem for me. Like, you just have to be, like I was saying, like what I was thinking when you guys were making your points now. At some point, you have to realize that what you want doesn't matter. What you think is like, obviously it matters to you, but sometimes it is what it is. You don't control who you fall in love with. In love with someone you don't find physically attractive, but you.
That's not true. I disagree with that.
What did I say?
You disagree with that? Interesting.
I disagree with that. You do choose who you fall in love with because you have a self-image, right?
Yeah.
So if your self-image is low, you're gonna fall in love with a girl who's body 20 guys, covered in tattoos, has a septum, and goes to boogies every weekend, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if your self-image is high, you might be attracted to someone who's more sophisticated, someone who's more classy, someone who takes care of their body. And I've noticed as well that I find drinking, excessive drinking in a woman to be quite a red flag, because I don't think that poisoning your body is a very nurturing trait. So I disagree with you there. I think you don't choose who you fall in love with, but you choose your self-image, and your self-image determines who you fall in love with.
I kind of agree on that one, because it's like, if I look at the types of girls that I used to be with when I was insecure versus the types of girls I go for now, the level has skyrocketed because my self-image has become so much better over the years.
Yeah, I do find Regan's story very interesting. Like everything about it, because you came from, you know, being the socially awkward person that he was to the person that he is today, who I respect, and I don't give my respect out to anybody. To be honest, I really do put you through the eye thing. But I do completely agree with what Benjamin said as well. That what he said spot on. But so you choose your self-image, you can become something. So I said something like that. I said you either become the man your father was or the man you wanted him to be. You know? And you could be running away from somebody. You could be running away from someone's self-image to create your own one. But there could be something from your childhood that a girl has that just sparks and turns everything around. You could be into 10s out of 10s, long leg models, blah blah blah, and then but they have no depth to them. And you could be into them, but then there'll be that one girl that has something in common with your childhood, which is something I find interesting. But it's everybody's vulnerable spot, their childhood. You could become anything, but something happened in your childhood, it will stay with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because that's in your developmental years.
That's when you what?
That's in your developmental years, because that's when you're developing your personality. So if something happens when you're a kid, it's with you for pretty much the rest of your life. That's why so many people insecure. If you notice an adult acting like a child, having a childish reaction to something, it's usually because it's something that happened to them when they were a child, and now they're reliving that memory.
Regression.
But what I find interesting is that there's certain people that run away from that person they were as a child, but somehow, some way, it comes back to them.
Yeah.
Because it's like their real self for some weird reason. You never let go of it, which is what I find really, really.
Yeah,
really
childhood trauma. And it's very difficult to work through that.
It is. But another thing I find interesting is that there's a lot of people that have a positive mindset. So there's a lot of people that practice emotional avoidance and call it a positive mindset. And it usually happens when you have trauma or something. Traumatize, and then subconsciously you put it back of your head. But even when you try and forget it, when you try and block it out, it takes one what's the word I'm looking for? The tick, man. The one thing that
One spark.
Trigger. It takes one trigger to bring it all back.
Yeah.
That's what I find interesting, bro. It's like you can be this person and your self-image in this person, but when something comes from the past, and let's say it's a chick that's less attractive, and she has this certain thing, you think to yourself that you're in love with her. And that's what I mean when I say you can't control it. You can't control what happens to you.
Absolutely. I've noticed that happening with me with chicks. It's like, from my childhood, I was very close to my mother. And that kind of just giving nurturingness that a mother gives. And now, because I lost my mom, every time a chick does something just out of kindness for me, that triggers me like you have no idea. And then I'll find myself like falling in love with her. Yeah. And I can spot it and I'll notice it, but it still doesn't get rid of that feeling.
I also have that vulnerability. I have it. Which is why I'm still single, bro. I give 110.
Yeah.
I don't dip my and I really do.
You put your entire foot in.
Yeah.
What did you do for Valentine's? Out of curiosity.
Me?
You? No, both of you. Just out of curiosity.
I went to Muay Thai, bro.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
That's what I did.
Okay. I think I gave myself the goal of doing 600 push-ups that day. Yeah. That's pretty much all I did.
But I want to expose you, but let's let it go. Let's let it go for now. On Valentine's Day, Regan did talk to a girl, and so a lot of people were also making videos on this on TikTok and stuff like that of how they behave on Valentine's Day. So let's say there's a chick you kind of rejected back in the day, and then Valentine's Day hits, and then you see her with someone else, and then you're like, interesting, and they're like, don't do that, like, you know, you're the one. But that's what he did. So there was a chick that I don't know the history, but from what I could tell, there was something there before, and clearly it went wrong, and it was clearly his fault. And he was what's the word? He was patronizing her. He was like, so why don't you come over and let's have dinner? And then she was like trying to outdo him, and she was like, well, actually, I already had dinner with someone who makes the effort for me and doesn't plan it on the day.
Exposing me, my guy. Exposing me.
Super interesting. But back to my I've never been heartbroken conversation. I know Regan spoke about it the last podcast. What about you, bro? Like,
yeah,
I know his villain era began after a heartbreak.
100%. Yeah, so obviously I don't intend on saying any names, but I experienced the classical entry into the gym, sort of the red carpet into the gym, which is you find a girl, you get serious about her, you maybe have your first few experiences with her, whether it's sexual, romantic, whatnot, and it's the first girl that you introduce to your family, let's say. Things get serious.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I was just introducing that to your family. I was just saying, or
no, that happened.
Continue.
Yeah, that happened. So I was
the first one.
I was 17 years old. Yeah, 17 years old. So this was just over 2 years ago, I would say. But this girl I had sort of like an on and off thing with. And my brother had always told me that it was bad news, but of course you don't listen when you're naive and you're experiencing such exciting things, you know. As a young man. Yeah. So yeah, I was working hard. It was finals. I was doing my exams. I noticed that she started going out a bit more with new friends. And Regan, what was perfect was that these guys were also a little bit older, because I've noticed that girls like older guys.
They do, yeah.
So these guys were a bit older, maybe 20, 21.
Yeah, and let me guess, they all had cars, they all...
Yeah, for sure. I was in matric, right? And then, I took her on a paid holiday. We went to not Camps Bay. We went to Clan William.
Yeah, I know where this is going. I can feel the pain. My man.
Took the boat out. My best mates came as well, so it wasn't just us. Like, at least I still have the good memory with my guy, with Nanga, Nangamso.
Shout out Nangi.
And yeah, he also got to ride the boat. I rode the boat. It was fucking fun. Did some skiing and all that. And then when we got back about a week later, she told me that like a month ago, she had been with another guy. So that was quite tough to hear.
Yeah.
And then I obviously went through that whole like, you're broken up, but then you see each other, you're breaking up, see each other, boom, 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 on and off. It's like a roller coaster for the first few months after the breakup. But then it reached a point where, I don't know, I feel like my self-image just increased, and I realized it was a waste of time. I realized that this is not what I want. She's not worth my time. Not a girl that I'm attracted to anymore. And yeah, I've as of late been attracting some high quality girls. And that's why I really get pissed off when people generalize women, because I feel like there's such a range out there. Hey? There's girls that are for the streets, and then there's girls that are maybe for, I don't know, just being by your side as you navigate life.
Yeah, I get you.
I get where you're coming
from. I just have one question for that.
Yeah.
With your first experience with first girlfriend, did that give you any trauma, would you say?
Maybe not trauma, but it did give me some insecurities which I had to climb over. Of course, because you feel like a cuck, you know, you feel like you've been played, you lose a bit of trust for the world, and then that rubs off on your other relationships. But the timing on it was perfect, because luckily I've got a brother. I know you guys might not be as close with your sibling, but that's something that I have been given by God that I am grateful for. Because he was also with a really shoddy woman, man. This girl was bad news. Fucking bad news. Just literally everything sounds like it was out of a horror movie. So he went through a breakup, I went through a breakup, and then just martial arts, gym, starting a business together, getting our head down, and just leveling up.
Yeah. It's great that you had some sort of male influence that you could kind of look up to and work through that. A lot of people don't know this about me, but one of my first girlfriends ever broke up with me on the day that my mother died. That fucked me in the head.
Feels like dominoes, eh?
Everything just collapsing at once. They say when it rains, it pours.
But you still here about respect.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother.
That's
Made it through that.
Jeez.
So part of being an only child for me was that I had to like look out for myself. I had to learn to look out for myself, and the part of the reason why I haven't been heartbroken and probably I've missed out on a lot of great relationships was because I saw stuff like that happen not around me, but not as much as I did after I got into this mentality. But what I realized about getting your heart broken and what I realized about what it does to you is that you feel like you were not good enough, that they needed someone else. And I remember thinking to myself, I will never, ever in 1,000 years make myself feel like that. I have a lot of self-love for myself, bro. If I respect myself and I love myself like that, I would never put myself in a position to feel like I was not good enough. You know, I'm the prize at the end of the day. And if she doesn't see it, I definitely do. Straight up. And then obviously the domino effect, when I got into that mindset, I think, as I say, when you look for something, you do find it. And all I was just seeing around me was just absolute atrocity, wrong behavior, bro. And I was like, I can never be the other guy. That could never be me. And it's less about like the ego and people that what they know. It's more about me. It's more about how I feel. A lot of people can handle heartbreak. I have a friend that's been through breakups in the last 3 years. So in the last 3 years, he's had 3-year-long relationships, and clearly it doesn't affect him. And I don't see myself recovering from something like that, bro. Because I'm a firm believer that I have nothing to prove to anyone. And then when you get your heartbreak, you have to prove yourself to the people and that person. And I don't like that source of energy. I like the source of power coming from me.
Yeah, it's because it's like when you go through a breakup, it makes you feel like, why the fuck wasn't I good enough?
That's literally and if you deep that, bro, that's hectic. To yourself that I was not good enough.
But surely there's warning signs. Like, for me, I know I had warning signs. Like, I started getting insecure when she was going out.
Yeah.
And this was before it even happened. There were most likely warning signs for you as well.
It's amazing that we can kind of feel this. It's like, it's an empty feeling inside your gut. And on one of Hamza's videos, I'm sure you guys know Hamza.
That's something I actually disagree with Fetty on. I love Hamza.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But I remember on one of his videos, he was talking about this. It's like, he was talking about, you get this empty gut feeling when your girl just goes out. It's like you can fucking sense that it's happening. And then guys will argue with themselves and they'll be like, no, there's no way. There's no way. But you should trust your gut. Because your gut doesn't lie to you.
Yeah. What I find interesting about Hamza, and as a person who has like 2 million subscribers, very well established, is I find it very interesting when I find myself on journeys with people that have nothing in common. So my point. So he made a video recently talking about he's fulfilled his purpose. He's kind of going to stick back from the YouTube, fully invest himself into like martial arts and stuff like that. And I was find that interesting because that's the mindset I had in the beginning of the year. Was, you know, all these things mean nothing. Like fighting gives you a direction in life and a purpose of I need to put my full into this. But I feel like Hamza is just like, as much as you guys like him, I feel like he's just an empty bag of fantasies. I feel like his heart is in the right place, but mentally, like before I watched this video, he was talking about another video where he wants to sort of go off the grid and go into the wild with his homies and just hunt wolves and stuff like that, which is a sick idea. But it's a fantasy, bro. Like, why am I gonna go hunt wolves and stuff like that? So once I sense a bit of dishonesty from your source of what you're talking about, like when he talks about his goals and his experiences, some of it just doesn't sound real. It just sounds like something that would work on people, and that's when I kind of disengage. Maybe I just haven't given him a fair chance. Same thing with Sneeko. I handled the Sneeko conversation very poorly last time, and I want to do it better this time. Sneeko, you know, one thing I respect about Andrew Tate and the Tate, that they were the men before the success. They had the masculinity, they had the power, they had the strength, they had the brand, they had all these things. With Sneeko and Hamza, I don't know Hamza well, but with Sneeko definitely, is that the fame and the other stuff came first. And as you see now, he's in the gym more often. His head is in the right place. His heart is in the right place. But he's getting that after. You know, I like it before. I like you to go through the whole stage of life as a man and eventually get rewarded from it. I don't want you to get rewarded in the beginning. So, like, at the end of the day, it's not to be different as much as I do like being different. I'm just very vocal about my opinion. I stick to them because once I sense something's off, bro, like with Andrew Tate, as much cack as he said, there's nothing I sense that could be wrong. Like, it could be not, it could be false. You know? Like, he was talking about, like, Tristan banged 9 girls when they went to Thailand in one day, and it was no prostitutes or anything. 9 new girls. And I believed it.
And none of them were Thai.
And none of them were Thai.
They were all tourists.
Yeah. I believed him. And it's like, you know, I don't want to be questioning everything you're saying to me. I don't want to be doing that. That's why with this craft, with podcasting, I'm so honest. Like, I could tell you right now about something that's made me insecure and something that I can't handle, because I don't want to do it for your sympathy. I want to do it so you can tell that everything I'm saying is true. It really comes from real life experiences. A lot of people that I've, like, not a lot of people, but some people that I've seen start podcasts and stuff like this, and they go off stories that they've seen on memes, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get where you're going with this. It's like they're not coming from the perspective of having experienced these things, and that was Hamza's journey. I mean, I was following Hamza since 60,000 subscribers, so I want people to, in the comments, to firstly shut the fuck up, because I've been there longer than you have. I followed him since he was starting out. And Hamza didn't start out from a position of having experienced all of this, maybe with a couple of girls in college and stuff. He started out by reading books and then, like, summarizing them and turning them into videos. So his information that he was giving was fantastic, and he packaged it in such a great way. But it's like, it's nothing compared to Andrew Tate, who has already achieved everything, and now he's sharing based off of experience, not off of just what he's read. And I do practice that a lot with my YouTube channel. Unless I have something perfect going in my life that I have gone to the T, I will not make a video on it. It's like, people ask me to talk about finance and talk about women and stuff, and it's like, yeah, sure, I can talk about it, I have knowledge on it, but I don't have a huge amount of experience on it. So what have I got to share? Things that I can read out of books.
That's where you need to be, Regan, because this is something that, okay, so firstly, I think the mistake that you've made, Fetty, is that you've stumbled upon Hamza. And the purpose of his channel is to find people who are addicted to social media and porn and who have all the bad habits, and then to bring them out of it. Yeah. But if you already are out of those habits, you often find his regular content hyper edited. So that's why there is Hamza Unfiltered, where it's just 40 minutes videos of him just talking.
I know those videos.
Those are brilliant.
I know those videos, yeah.
But, fuck, I lost my train of thought. But where I'm going with this, is if people ask you about women and about money, okay, they're not here to learn from fucking Elon Musk. They're here to learn from someone who's just 2 steps ahead of them. Because they can't relate to people who are millionaires.
Yeah, I get it.
But they might be able to relate to someone who's just started their first business and is seeing some results. And that is actually where you will win.
I absolutely get what you're saying, because people do want to have a certain degree of relatability.
Yes.
But to me, it doesn't feel right with my, like, in my core, because it feels like I'm turning a blind eye. It's like, I don't mind teaching people stuff if I'm 2 steps ahead of them in the subject, but if I'm on the same level as them and I've just read a page ahead, it's like, it's fraud. It's not real.
I know what you're saying, but on that train of thought, boys, I want to talk more business. You guys, I know you both have started your business, and I'm very proud of you for that. A lot of things that I do with myself is when I do start something I wanted to start, even if I just started it. If I started it, I'm super, like, when I started the pod, before I released it, I celebrated with myself. Myself a pat on the back, because a lot of people have ideas, a lot of people have a plan, but they never execute on it. So when you do end up executing it, I think it's very fucking impressive for me. And to go back onto what Benjamin said, it's like you want to learn from people that are 2 steps ahead from you, not like 100 steps. You know what I mean? And that's why I like you guys so much. You guys, and the energy, it's not false, bro. Like, it feels like you guys are genuinely hard workers, and I do see myself going in some ventures with you guys. But my question is for you, to me, and to the people listening, is so in the beginning, like, what books helped you, like, develop, like, what you want to go into and why you want to start this, and what type of content and who you're watching, and where would you recommend someone should start if they want to escape the matrix.
Yeah.
Using finances, obviously.
Do you want to start recommending just 3 books, maybe? You can go ahead first.
Yeah, sure.
Just like top 3 books, maybe like a sales and a financial or...
The first book that I ever read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Brilliant.
That book completely changed my mindset towards finance, made me actually believe that it was possible. Another one, it's like going into finance books, I can like recommend great finance books, but it's more of a mindset thing in the beginning when you're starting out. So I'd have to say mindset books. Psycho-Cybernetics, amazing book. And then what else can I recommend? Certain Parts of Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Certain parts of it. I don't agree with the whole book, but there are certain parts of it that I do very strongly agree with. That'll be my 3. And you?
Okay. The first book that I would say got me into traditional entrepreneurship through real estate was, it's a classic, eh? Like this book I was reading in class in grade 10, and I think girls would literally approach me because they could just see the steam coming off of my head while reading this book. And that's not even a joke, like this literally happened, but Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, I knew it.
Rich Dad Poor Dad is a classic.
Yeah.
It is a classic. And that's a book that my father gifted me, so thank God for that. That book, on top of me playing Monopoly endlessly as a kid, just built that inner capitalist inside of me. Secondly, just being an introvert through my youth, a book that really brought me out was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Also a gold standard book. It's mostly a book about how can you provide value to other people and how can you make other people feel heard. So it's more about focusing less on yourself and focusing on others more. And that's so essential for romantic relationships, sales relationships, or brotherhoods. Then the third book that I would say had a big influence on me.
Have you guys
Maybe, yeah.
Sorry, no, go on.
No, but maybe 12 Rules for Life.
12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson.
12 Rules for
That
Life, the
book.
first one. Just a
That
powerful
book.
introduction to modern psychology. And I read that book while I was actually on antidepressants during lockdown. So that was quite a tough one, but I climbed out of the hole and now I am bulletproof. So
I really want to pivot onto depression and talk about depression. You guys comfortable with that?
for sure.
Do you think depression is real?
As I said, I think if you look for something, you're going to find it. Naturally, humans want to be victims. Naturally, with being a victim comes attention, affection, and people caring for you. So I do think if you look for something, you are going to find it. But personally, for me, as an individual, it's not real for my reality. Life is fucked. It's fucked for everybody. I wouldn't place it as depression.
Yeah. Benjamin, as somebody who's studying psychology,
Yeah.
what's your opinion on depression?
What do you mean by real? Do you mean it has a real effect on your actions and your productivity, or like how would you measure real?
Like, I'm talking about clinical depression because feeling depressed is completely a real thing, but I'm talking about clinical depression, like somebody who's diagnosed with depression, it's something that supposedly affects them for the rest of their life. Do you think that's real?
So there is quite a great myth about serotonin deficiencies. So what antidepressants are is they are SSRIs. That is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Okay, and what they do is basically you have these receptors in your brain. Think of them like little sponges, and these sponges get squeezed. Okay, and when they get squeezed, serotonin enters the bloodstream. Serotonin creates mood stability, as well as it increases the flexibility of your posture, as well as how much space you take up. Okay? What serotonin reuptake inhibitors do is they slow down the process at which these sponges reabsorb serotonin from your bloodstream. So let's say you hit the gym, right? And you get a lot of serotonin afterwards. You're feeling fantastic. You've got that pump. You're looking fucking fantastic, okay, in the mirror. And then 20 minutes later, you feel like a loser. if someone is on SSRIs, I guarantee you that feeling would only kick in maybe an hour later. So a depressed person, let's say 20 minutes, but SSRIs, maybe an hour. So what that then does is it buys that depressed person an hour window where they can actually live a normal life. So depression is real, but I do think taking medication is an easy way out.
Does it work?
I've actually been on antidepressants for 3 months. I was on an SSRI known as Prozac, and then also a anti-anxiety known as Trankipam, which is a cousin of Xanax, and that one was lethal. It slows down your reaction time, which is weird because it's almost as if you can feel the vibration of each word being said to you from another person. So anti-anxieties, never try them, including vapes. Please don't. And then
So that's what the fucking vaping thing is. It's an anti-anxiety thing.
Anti-anxiety, yeah.
That
I
explains
want
it.
to chat about nicotine, actually.
Fucking hate
Can
vapes.
we chat about nicotine? It's the most fascinating drug ever.
Sure, I just want to quickly
yeah.
pivot. I just want to quickly go into the depression thing because that's the point that I want to make.
Yeah, any more questions?
They did a study recently
Yeah.
that found that depression is not caused by chemical imbalances. And
Yes, it's not.
It has
It's not.
nothing to do with serotonin.
Yeah.
They found that study. And they also mentioned in that study that the theory where clinical depression is caused by chemical imbalance came out in the 80s, right perfectly with the introduction of the drug Prozac. Supply and demand.
My point,
Supply and demand.
Did I not say this in the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point exactly.
So depression, I'm still on the fence about that. I'm also on the fence about anxiety. Even recently, I posted something which I feel like you saw,
I did, yeah.
which is I don't believe that anxiety is real. I believe that anxiety is just. How do I even say this?
Bro, anxiety,
It
comes from your stomach. It's like your gut,
Yeah.
right? And it's like you can feel after a gym session or something that I'm indestructible. You can feel that nobody can really touch me. And anxiety, like what he said, bro, you just know that you're a victim. You can see someone walking on the street and you can know I could rob this guy right now with no weapons on me because he's just weak.
Yeah.
When
You can see their body language.
For real, when you feel like that person, when you are that person, when you feel like it, obviously you're going to be anxious. The world is a fucking unsafe place, bro. Obviously you're going to be anxious all the time because people are out here trying to take shit from you. And if they can, you're going to be scared about it.
You also notice that anxious people are more twitchy. And think about it. What is twitchy in nature?
Reactive.
The fucking bucks and things that are getting chased by the predators. The predators move slowly.
Yeah.
Move slowly through the... Whereas the prey are like
Which is
all
why
over the place.
his anti-anxiety made him slower in reactive time.
Yeah, that's also
I don't know if you guys
interesting.
have read the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah,
But
love that
basically,
book.
it's like a more fucked up version of what's that book, Influencing Friends End?
Yeah. So 48 Laws of Power is like a shadow version.
I stopped reading that book 6 chapters in.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I do not want to know this shit. It's primarily it's for you to not become manipulated by other people.
Yeah.
But it's much worse when you can, when you know this person is trying to, I'm very good at looking over things. I really couldn't care less. There's always a bigger picture to stuff, right? If I find you valuable to the cause that we're trying to accomplish, no matter how you react, I'm going to try and minimize it, but I'm going to let you in because we have a bigger picture at hand.
Yeah.
It's much better for me to let it go if I don't know what you're trying to do, right? 6 chapters in, I realized, first of all, I'm going to end up subconsciously using these, which is awful. I don't want to use this on anybody, right? And also, I'm gonna come clean here. Some of them I already was using as part of my personality as my character, and I just started resenting myself as I was reading the book. I was like, I'm such a fucking asshole. So I stopped because it's toxic.
I want to completely disagree with you on this one.
Okay.
In the environment that I grew up in, I learned the 48 Laws of Power subconsciously, and I became the most manipulative little fucker in school, especially. I would, if somebody pissed me off, I would lock onto them like a target, and I felt bad doing it, but I didn't know why I was doing it.
So why do you
And
think
I
you
would,
feel bad, though?
I don't know. I just felt bad. I could feel like subconsciously that it was wrong.
Because
but
exactly,
yeah,
it's wrong.
but I could manipulate people in the most amazing way. Yeah, hold on. I'll get to this now. I would manipulate people in such a bad way, and it's like if somebody was pissing me off at school and I could see that they were lying to me and trying to manipulate me, I would lock onto them like a target and make their life fucking hell. Okay. And like I would be getting them in trouble with the office and type of shit. I became the most evil little shit because I didn't understand it, but I learned those things subconsciously. And it's like, it always reminds me of the story between the bite of a baby snake and an adult snake. The most deadly snake in the world is a baby snake because it doesn't understand its venom. So it just gives you a full dose. Where there's an adult snake, because it understands its venom, it will often dry bite you. So you'd rather get bitten by an adult snake. And that's why I study the 48 laws of power so well. Because then I know when to deliver, how much power to deliver in a certain situation. Because I understand the laws. Whereas if I don't, then I'm just going at it full force. I'm like that baby snake. But if I do understand them, I know exactly how much to deliver to get the situation in my favor.
It's a fantastic book. It's a fantastic book, but there's a reason why it's banned in prison. If you are a person already on that mental journey of stuff and doing stuff like that, it's going to take over the world. And it's banned in prison because it can't get on the wrong hands. I don't think I'm the wrong hands. I just know myself. I'm very self-aware. So I was like, not now. That was my thing. But as you said, I did the same thing. I was very manipulative in high school. I was very, very much, I was the pinnacle point of manipulation, bro. I was so bad. But I was in control of it. I'm glad you asked that question to Regan because I realized that the only thing that I was able to do for so long is because I was very much in control of it. So I'm going to give you guys a scenario. So what happened to me at school is there was 1 year where I had headmaster's DT for the rest of the year, and then my teachers called me in, my deputy principal called me in, and she was just asking like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what is going on? And I told her a story about me, and then she started crying and then started telling me that, okay, she took away all my headmaster's DT. So when I first saw that, I was like, interesting. So, and then I carried on getting into more trouble as I usually do. And I just kept getting away with it all. I kept getting away with everything. And I kept telling stories about what happens to me. But then I started picking up that these stories work. But the only reason why I'm able to sleep with myself at night is because I know that these are true. The thing is, it didn't affect me as much as they thought it was affecting me. So to them, they thought this is horrific. To me, it was like, bro, this happens to everybody I know. It's not that big of a deal. And then to take it out to the outside world, so when I was 15, my friends and I caught a case. We caught an assault charge. And this guy sued us for robbery, assault, damage of property. He went off with it, right? He obviously lost immediately because, first of all, he said we damaged his car and the damage on his car was worth $500,000 and his car wasn't even worth $500,000. So already he was off it, right? But we did assault him. And when you are a minor, they do not want you to catch a criminal record. So they give you like 4 chances every time you pay in 4 chances.
Interesting.
And before you go into the courtroom, what they do is they interview you guys separately, and there's a social worker that interviews you and blah, 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 right? All my friends, I had 4 friends that went with me. All my friends got 80 hours of community service. They had to go to the police station early in the morning, clean out the blood from the night before, the vomit, just a lot. 80 hours is a lot. I got 3 hours of therapy because I went in there, first of all, as a social worker, right? I already knew. I'm like, bag, right? I told her the most on paper saddest story I could, even though I didn't give a fuck about it. And I'm not here trying to act cool and be like, it really wasn't that serious, right? But thank God to modern society and the desire to be a victim and constantly pushing it in the media, I learned it and I used it to my advantage. And they gave me 3 hours of therapy. That was my punishment. 3 hours. My friends got 80 hours of community service. I got 3 hours of therapy because I could read the scenario, and I always told myself, I was like, it's fine because I'm not lying at the end of the day. I'm not out here making up stories about what has happened to me. I'm telling them what has happened to me, and if they treat me the way they do, amazing. But that is obviously manipulation, right? That is like pinnacle point manipulation.
Yeah, you're playing a situation in your favor, right?
But I was in control of it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wasn't in control of mine at all.
What makes you say that?
It's like it was an urge inside of me to make it worse. To make it worse, it was like I wanted to fucking destroy that person and manipulate the shit out of them. But it felt wrong inside of me, and it was like that wrong feeling went towards. And I have noticed this with people who have trauma, is they always go towards pain. And that definitely happened to me. And there was a pain point to me, so I went towards it, which made me more dangerous.
Would you say reading the book helped you control it more?
Yes.
Okay. That's the purpose.
Because I knew how to, I then knew what was going on and how to apply it in different scenarios. And now it's like, it's useful as well, because if I catch somebody trying to manipulate me, I'll fucking destroy them in seconds as well.
What's your take on the book?
Yeah, so I can think of a Muay Thai example, which I'm sure you'll be able to relate to, which is someone who hasn't done Muay Thai, someone who hasn't read the book, let's say. They might be at a bar and they're in a street fight and they throw a punch at someone's jaw and they break their fucking hand. But someone who's trained in Muay Thai will know that a punch is probably one of the worst things you can do in a street fight. You want to rely maybe on your knees and your elbows, okay? They're less likely to break. And the point of that is that you know what force you can deliver, as you said with the baby snake and the adult snake. You know what force you can deliver when you've understood the force to its fullest potential.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that drunk, idiot, barbarian throwing around punches after you've had 2 castle lights, which is something I actually encountered at the New Year's party. Fuck, man. This guy, dude. No, not you. Not you. There was just one motherfucker there who was this lanky dude.
Yeah.
Dancing around certain girls that I didn't enjoy, so I intervened. And then Nanga held him back because this guy was trying to make a scene.
Yeah.
It's always the guys who don't know how to fight who bark the loudest. You know, it's a common trait. It's a common motif. And yeah, it's the same. Just to relate it to the book, it's going to be the ones who manipulate the most are the ones who have not trained that trait to its fullest.
Yeah.
Thank you. But the ones who have trained that trait will most likely be less dependent on the dark arts.
Yeah. Who said this? I think it was Jordan Peterson in 12 Rules for Life. Okay. You cannot grow a tree to heaven without first planting its roots in hell.
So that's Carl Jung.
Carl Jung. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but it is a brilliant quote.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But back on like so in terms of how's your business going?
It's going pretty well, but as I said, it's not about relating to Elon Musk. It's about relating to someone who's 2 steps ahead. So I wouldn't consider myself highly successful. I have made tens of thousands off of Amazon FBA, as well as drop shipping and freelance editing. So I am most likely making more than the listener in terms of online business, but I still wouldn't consider myself wildly successful.
And who is that person for you that's 2 steps ahead?
For me personally, I have a mentor in the UK. His name is Chris with a K. He's 95 kilos, boxer, hard man. First man. You know him. Yeah, he's a hard man. I would consider him someone who is, he's got 150,000 subscribers. He's doing pretty well for himself. He's earning in the ballpark of £60,000 a month.
Yeah.
So he's definitely doing better than me, maybe 5 steps instead of 2. Another person who I think is quite interesting is Iman. He's my brother's age.
Iman Ghadzi, yeah.
Yeah, he's my brother's age, so that's interesting.
Actually, I met him. And yourself?
Yeah, I've also met him.
What's your 5 steps?
5 steps a person. For me, is Iman Ghadzi as well, but also Hamza, because I've seen Hamza grow, and Hamza gives me that kind of idea of if he can do it, then so can I.
Yeah, I was listening to our podcast recently, and there was one thing that stuck with me. Recommending someone's content that I haven't had a chance to look at, and you were saying that's when I started believing that this stuff is actually real, which is such a big step in the whole process. I have certain people, when I speak to them about certain things, that tell me that I'm living in a fantasy, but their fantasy is my reality. So, you kind of have to like separate the people who can believe. And I think a lot of people underrate the ability of believing that it's possible. As Central C was saying that before he was famous, he had to have some certain level of delusion on believing that he would make it as a rapper when there's such a few percentile of people that actually make it.
And what that delusion does is that it turns into manifestation because you genuinely do. Now, I'm not telling everybody to be delusional, but I'm saying if you truly believe with all your heart, I do believe in manifestation. I do believe that it does come true. That it stems from delusion.
It's because our mind does have a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But I do believe in it.
Interesting.
I don't know if you do.
Yeah, so manifestation, when I often think of that, I think of, the astrology girls.
Those girls that are
You were
sitting
talking
there,
about Love Island earlier.
and they tell you to just
I do not watch Love Island.
they tell you there to just
That's not me.
sit and believe,
But-
and everything will just come to you.
Yeah. So
I hate those. I fucking hate those things.
I think
That's too much.
I think manifestation is an important step, but it's more feminine in its energy. It's more about so manifestation is feminine and it is the foundational step. It's planting the seeds. But then the next step, which I find is more masculine, which is of course taking action, that is breaching the soil. And breaching the soil is the dirtiest point of which the plant will be. Okay. You're in the mud. Okay, you're with the Beatles and not the band, but just it's fucking grit. It's grit, okay?
Yeah.
You're building the habit. You need momentum. Every single day is a headache, and that's the daily action that you need to take after manifestation, after you understand where it is that you want to end up. You can't just scroll motivational videos and expect something to happen.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But like I said with the podcast I had with Ree, that life is about balance. So I was saying to be unstoppable as a person, if you're a geek, just focus on what jocks have. If you're a jock, focus on what geeks have. And my point was that geeks are actually superior to us because they can go into the gym and become built and have a lot of So I said there was someone I had an argument with. I want to address this while I have you guys here. So I said that to be more of a jock as a geek, you have to try and develop a testosterone, and that's the difference, which is not true. It just seems like jocks have more testosterone, right? It just seems they do much manly stuff. But my point is, you can read as many books as you can, as I see myself. You can read as many books as you can, but I will never be as smart as this guy, right? And I could be delusional and manifest it into reality and blah, 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 but it's not going to be real, bruh. It's not going to be, you have to be realistic with a lot of stuff. And my point is, I'm so glad that Benjamin said it was more of a feminine trait, and which I do have the manly traits, but again, the key to life is balance. It's having both, right? Just cover the whole board, right? And for some weird reason, with these certain things that you're talking about, astrology, feminine signs, all that stuff like that, is that when I do put it, it's so much more peace of mind. Because obviously, girls don't have to work as hard as we do, right? They don't have to get into the mud, the soil, the trenches and do what we do, but they do find a way to make it work. And I feel so much peace and ease because genuinely deep down I believe if I think about this enough, if I do project it into reality, because I already have the ability of action. So if I put them both, I'm unstoppable. But what I do realize is that the feminine stuff, the feminine energies, bro, they are so comforting. Like this one chick recently taught me about angel numbers.
555.
And
444.
Exactly. Like this guy was saying, I hate those people that sit there and think, just attracted will come to you. Bro, you must go and get it. But I do believe in angel numbers now. And whenever I do see them, it's such a big relief. And
feel guided.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is that it's always relevant to what I'm thinking. But obviously, because I want it to be. So it does become that. Do you get what I'm saying? And it works for me. The journey right now is much more enjoyable because I have both the traits. I have the action trait and the feminine belief trait. And a lot of my friends are very much into the man trait, the man action trait. There's no sense of balance, right?
Yeah, but you got both.
Exactly. But what they do to compensate is they always have girlfriends. They always have girls, which brings the balance in their life, but not to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's giving me lots of ideas in my head because, polarization, the masculine and feminine attract each other. But if you have both of those inside you, then you don't really need a woman in your life, do you?
Exactly. Bro, the reality TV show thing, I hate how much I'm enjoying it. I haven't gone over to the Love Island cliche. I'm not fully in.
Gonna send this to my brother. He's not alone.
I'm not fully in, but I do appreciate it. Like, okay, so when Century was talking about this manifestation thing and the delusion thing, that he had to be somewhat delusional to manifest his reality, the conversation stemmed from love. He said he believed that love is a delusion, right? Which it's not, because it is real. It's just rare, right? That was his point. It's just rare, and for you to believe that you have it out of like the 99.9% of people it's not unrealistic. It's because delusion means it's not real, right? So, but it clearly love is real. It is there. It's just a lot of people do not find it, and I forget the point that I was trying to make.
Is love as real as it was in the past? Because like,
I think it's the same.
in the past, like my dad married his high school sweetheart. My one brother married his high school sweetheart. It's like that's happened in the past. That's love. But like with social media nowadays and with with the direction our society is going, is it still as real?
I have 2 points to make. Okay, so love is the strongest form of energy, right? And I don't know if you guys have seen Vikings, but there was this one scene where Ragnar was telling Bjorn, his son, that he was saying that why do you think you deserve to be happy? Unhappiness is more common than happiness. So what makes you think that you're special out of all the people in the world, that you deserve happiness? Which is so true. And love, happiness, and success are 3 of the most rarest things that you can find in someone that genuinely has it. And in my opinion, the most rarest one and the most beneficial one, the most nicest one is love. That's why like X on the Beach is not around anymore. That's why Love Island is doing 17 seasons, because everybody wants to find it. No matter how rich you are.
Yeah, everybody is obsessed with love, and it is such a powerful force.
It's the most powerful in my opinion,
Yeah, it is an extremely powerful force, but it's like, how do you find it nowadays? Because with social media and with all of the fucking evil in the world at the moment, it's like, if you display love, you get fucked up. Like Tristan Tate was saying in that video that he asked me to send you. Not showing love in a relationship is the best thing, because when the relationship inevitably crumbles into chaos, not showing it was the best thing that you could have ever done.
Yeah. I once told my girl, actually, that a relationship is only ever mutual if the girl likes the guy more.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's a real one.
That's boss. Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that.
It's showing his control, but that's definitely true. But love, I do not have time for it right now. It's too complicated for me, and I take all the time in the world to learn it. I think the most beautiful journey though is to learn it with someone. Like, I'm very envious of people that do have their companions, but I do understand that, like, what's that saying? What's that saying? Don't hate on someone at their worst because you don't know what they sacrificed at their best, or some shit like that. Don't hate someone at their best because you don't know what they sacrificed at their worst. So it might, when someone says someone else's life is easier, I completely detest that, because no one's life is easy, bro. Like, someone's life is
Everybody has their own problems.
Yeah, exactly, bro. I'm sure the billionaire's son would sacrifice all those millions to see his dad once a week. Right? Doesn't see his dad in his sleep. You know what I mean? Like, bro, some things are just, you can't buy them. You cannot buy them. And I was making a point to someone. Some kid was asking me, not some kid, just in case he's watching that. You're my friend, bro. Don't worry. But some guy was asking me that because he's. I feel sorry for him. He's been through two breakups, bro. And he keeps asking me, like, what is he doing wrong? And I was saying, I can't relate to you, because for me personally, I cannot imagine getting my heart broken and I'm broke. If I've got money, I can at least recover from it somehow. When you're on the journey, like, obviously you gain some sort of power from it and blah blah blah. But I don't want to be using that as fuel, bruh. I want to go to Dubai for 2 weeks and fuck as many girls as I can, and go on holiday and then come back and be like, okay, cool, it's out the system, let's get back to work. You know what I mean? That's how I would like to deal with it, which is not the most healthiest way, which is contradicting what I said earlier on. Because my first love, the first girl I ever dated, we broke up on that split where we went to high school. She went to a different high school than me, and for 2 years people would tell me that you need to get this girl back because everybody is on her. And I remember after those 2 years when we spoke, she was crying and she was saying to me, I literally didn't touch anyone for 2 years, and all I was seeing was you with other girls constantly, right? Which has become my expectation from my companion, my other half, is that when we break up, I want you to be so shook that you can't touch anyone else for that long, which is unrealistic at this point. You know, like in the world that I'm living in today, it's very unrealistic, and I've learned to hold myself accountable and listen to what she said to me. Whereas, how can for 2 years straight I'll be getting with everybody and expect her to not get with anybody? Like, and she said, think about how it would have made you feel if you heard that I was with someone, and that just took me to a whole different level of realization, bro. Because I am not a self-centered fuck. Like, I'm able to think about other people and how it feels to be them and their perspective of life. And I was complaining to someone about something I really don't want to talk about it, so let's keep it. I was complaining to someone about load shedding. The grandmother in Soweto, the poor areas that get it for half the day, the whole day. And I was saying, like, that's not fucking fair. Like, how come to the richer areas fucking get it for 2 hours and they're complaining and this person gets it? And they were like, and someone said to me, like, bro, it's got nothing, you don't live there, so why are you complaining? And I'm like, because I'm not a self-centered fuck. I'm not always thinking about myself, bro. I'm thinking about everybody else. This grandmother who's 90 years old went through apartheid her whole life suffering, and then just to come here and have no electricity half the day.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
It is fucked up. I agree with that.
But the point is, and which is where I want the conversation to carry on, the point is, I am able to get myself out of this, like, life. I have a good life. I'll say that. I have a good life. I'm able to get myself out of this good life into a bad life and realize how fucked it is, how much it needs to be fixed. I'm able to do that. And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are able to say, oh, that's fucked over there. Could never be me. Move on. Let's get my...
Do you know what has always disturbed me? I 100% relate to you on that. Is I'll see, like, somebody walk past a homeless guy and he's asking for change, and they don't even fucking acknowledge him. Yeah. It's like, you're not even in my world. I'm going to focus completely on myself. I'm completely self-centered. Yeah. That bothers me. It's like, if I don't have something to give the guy, I'll at least give him, like, a compliment to make his day at least slightly better.
Fair enough.
Just give something.
One of my firm beliefs is you need to be more proactive than reactive. So a lot of people that know me know I suck at communication, because I don't want to talk to you about how I feel or what I think we should do. I want to come with the plan. I want to come with the action move. I want to come with the action plan that we do it. I don't see the point of fucking rubbing your back if I can't help you. I feel like I'm patronizing you. I feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, bro, sorry, I can't, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't know a homeless person if I can't give them. Because I've got nothing to give you, bro. I don't think my words can cure what's happening to you. You know what I mean? And obviously, if they're like trying to talk to me, then obviously I'll be like, no. Give. Like, Iman impresses me in that sense. Especially when he was in Cape Town. I know you have a horrible experience with him, but he's also human. You must understand, and we can carry on. It impresses me in the sense that he's very down to earth, bro. Like, this guy, the first thing I say when I see him is big fan, right? But I'm obviously not like a fucking teenage maniac coming over the camera. Yeah. I was like big fan. Shook his hand, looked at him straight in his eyes, and then he was like, yo, like he like, cause we just like. We did a hike. I had like weights on my back, on my ankles. So my pump was in. He was like, whoa, like he was like giving me credits. And then he shook my hand again and he said, what's your name? And I said, Fetty. And then he said, Iman. You know, it's that small thing where he introduced himself to me that showed me he's got humanity in him. Yeah. He knows I know who he is. You know what I mean?
He still introduced himself.
And he looked at me. It's the small things. He shook my hand, looked at me straight in my eyes and said, Iman. You know what? It's the small stuff like that. And I was watching a video of him pulling up to a restaurant in Cape Town with like a bunch of girls, and there was a security outside, and he
shakes the security.
It was so underrated, bro. I was so impressed with him. I was like, that's the man I want to be. Like the man that's still able to talk to
remain humble.
Exactly, bro. And he's 22, bro. If I had that money at 22, it would ruin me. I would be such a dick, bro.
That's more so his upbringing. I mean, he is Eastern European, and he does embody a lot of those values, you know, giving back to your parents. And he's quite a sophisticated guy. Just the way that he speaks, his vocabulary, as well as what he pays attention to. He also enjoys the finer things of life. You know, he'll enjoy a wine and a cigar opposed to a brandy and Coke. So that could just be upbringing, but it is something to strive towards. That classiness, you know, that humble, reserved, but confident frame.
That's the word classy, bro.
And you've got to remain humble, because even like a guy like Andrew Tate, everybody says you're really you see on all these podcasts, everybody says to him before you were speaking on the podcast, when you're talking to me personally, you're a really humble guy. Even though he's putting on a character, you can still tell that in the end, he's a really humble guy. Because there are certain arrogant fucks in the wealthier standpoint of life, and I've encountered some of them, and it's like I have no respect for them whatsoever as people.
Yeah, I do understand them though. I do understand that time is money, and you don't want to waste your time on something that's not going to benefit you.
No, I'm not talking about wasting your time on things that aren't going to benefit you. It's just about being a complete asshole because you've got money.
That's what it is, right? If someone is wealthy and talking to them and having a 5-minute conversation is a waste of their time. Him saying hello to me is going to involve him becoming more accepting to humans' nature of carrying on the conversation until they find a way to cut it. So I do understand it, but I do not want that to be me. I don't really judge it. I do think it is being an asshole, but I do think in life, a lot of the time, you have to learn how to be an asshole if you want to get stuff done. I do.
Yeah, of course you got to learn when to be an asshole, but I'm talking about just being an asshole in general. Because there are certain guys that, because they've got money, it turns them into an asshole. Just being an asshole in general, and I don't respect that.
Me too. But I do feel, there's one thing I respect, and that's real. So I do feel like Iman is very, it's like Drake. He's very educated in forms of public image. He knows stuff like that goes a long way. One conversation. He knows stuff like that goes a long way. The buying me a drink and my friend a drink. He knows stuff like that goes a long way. But do I think it's sincere? I don't. It's hard. I don't want to judge and jump to conclusions. But for Drake, for example, I don't think it's sincere, man. I think when you're very well educated in the forms of humans and the forms of public image, and when you have a PR team, they're able to execute stuff like that to a T, where it feels genuine. Because I'll tell you a story that I've never told before. So when we finished the hike, we finished before Iman, and then I went back to go talk to him. And I was like, I'm going to shoot my shot. So I said to him, I'm like, you miss 100% of the chances you don't take. I have a podcast. I recently just started it. I didn't want to get into the like how much. And then I was like, I'm going to send you. I didn't want to also put him on the spot and be like, give me your number now. Like, bro, like, because I think, I don't know. Moving on, I was like, I'm going to send you a message later. And he said, okay, I will keep a lookout for your message. And then that's when he went to go buy us drinks. We had like a long conversation with him, blah, blah, blah. And I posted a picture with him and I tagged him. And then I posted, straight after the picture, I posted I was saying a bunch of stuff about the experience of meeting him. I tagged him in that. And I know for a fact he read my DM because the first picture that I tagged him in, he viewed the story, like he viewed it. And then the second one where I was talking and then I tagged him, he didn't view that one, right? So I know that what really happened realistically is that he went onto my profile, he saw, okay, this guy has 1,000 followers, there's no use for me engaging in this. And then he moved on with his life. But that's when, like, I wouldn't say that makes him disingenuine. I would just say that time is money, and he's like miles ahead, bro. Like,
I get it.
You know what I mean? And still able to give me the time of the day, because a lot of people were saying to me, they're like, why the fuck did you not get his number? And to me, it's like I'm able to put myself in people's positions. I would not want to make him uncomfortable.
Of course, yeah.
Like my number, bro. And the thing is,
that's
when he was talking to us, he had his crew with him, and his one friend had a phone that he kept showing to him, and then Iman was like, come here, boys, let me show you. So he's like, this chick is like, I'm throwing a party, and it's an all-white party, and she's saying to me that she doesn't have a white dress. And then the guy who had his phone was like, I'm just going to say to her, that's your problem. So he literally has a team of people messaging girls for him, finishing deals for him with a different phone. And now I want to get his number. And then the minute we left him, the minute I watched his car go by, I went to my phone and I saw on YouTube, he had just posted a video that second.
Yeah.
Which means he has a team somewhere that's posted.
Yeah, he has a team that does all of it for him.
And it really put things in perspective to me that people that are doing what I'm doing right now, like Iman, for example, are at such a high intensity of, because I do everything.
Yeah, I get it. It's like when you get to that level, you're getting hundreds of messages a second, so you don't really get it.
I know exactly that, and that's how I know he read my message, because he viewed my story. You know what I mean? He gave it a chance of, oh, what does this guy have to offer? And then it's not yet. But even like when I left, it was small things, man. Even when I left him, I was like, thank you so much for this, bro. Gonna remember this for the rest of my life. And then he gave me a funny look, like why are you acting like a fan? And then I was like to him, I'm gonna show my kids this. And then he laughed because that was funny. That was like a joke, right? But generally, to me, I don't like to pretend, which is probably why I don't have training in terms of stuff like that. Like the first thing I said to him was, "Bro, big fan." But I kept it like it's the energy, right? That's what matters. You don't want to be overly. I was like big fan, and the way he was communicating with me, and when we were hiking down and stuff, and it was jokes, but it was like he saw me as an equal, which was strange to me. And even when he got down, and that's when I was still like, bro, gonna remember this for the rest of my life, because I don't force things, but I am a fan. You are miles ahead. You do inspire me, and I'm not gonna act like this is like my friend of who I was with, Jeremy, didn't know who he was, luckily. So he was so comfortable, and he was saying, he was like, bro, you look kind of nervous. And I'm like, yeah, because this is not a normal thing. I've not encountered to be standing next to Iman Ghadzi as he buys me a drink.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Conversation. And the whole time I was there, it's like, make the most of it. So first of all, shot my shot, and then made it known that I'm not desperately you know what I mean. And I thought maybe he might respect that on a human level, but again, bro, it put things in perspective for me. When you're moving at that intensity, the whole team of people, and like his team is well paid. His team is well, so all these people are like at the pinnacle point, moving at this direction at a fast pace, and I'm just here still figuring out the foundations. The ropes, you know what I mean? And it didn't upset me at all, as it would some people who are short-term minded. It didn't upset me at all, because at some point I'm going to be sitting in a room with him, and I'm going to remind him of the story, and I'm sure he's going to remember him seeing me with 1,000 followers, and he's going to realize that me standing on the side of that table from him is that I really figured it out. I got it done, and there's no if buts or maybes about that. It's about when it happens. And I'm glad I got to meet him, bro, because. I wasn't a fan, but we should wrap this up. Let's go for 15 more minutes.
It's going on. Let's get it done soon. Yeah, I completely get what you're saying, man. And Iman himself has said on a video, do not put him on a pedestal, because people do not really like being put on pedestals. It's like you want to be treated as a human. You don't want to be treated as some like godly figure, because that makes you feel weird. And it's like I've noticed that even with certain girls that have like in the past treated me like I'm some fucking godly figure to them. It didn't feel genuine to me, and it was like I wanted to kind of push them away for it.
Okay. So I'm gonna say 3 minutes, actually, boys. We stop at 3 minutes. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Last bit of information.
Well, when you mentioned his team handling everything, I'd thought of Drake's pussy coordinator. which is a real thing, by the way. So Drake has a gentleman who's in his 40s who's paid very well. This guy's got quite a mean mustache, and he knows exactly to the T what Drake's type is, and he set up Tinder profiles, and he also manages Drake's Instagram DMs. And this is the guy who invites girls to parties for Drake. And it's just fascinating thinking about how an entrepreneur, in order to maybe make it to that level, you have to outsource everything. One piece of advice that I got from Tim Ferriss, who wrote the 4-Hour Workweek, another brilliant book is outsource everything. And I've been getting this common piece of advice, which is get a chef, even if you don't feel ready. Get a meal prep service, get a chef, get someone who can work underneath you, that can make your time more valuable, that can cut out 2 hours. They can save 2 hours of your day cooking. And it's just interesting how in order to make it to the top, you have to build sort of team that works beneath you to save you as much time as possible.
Well, you have to, because I've looked into the math of it, and it's interesting, and it does make sense to me. Excuse me. One person has 24 hours in a day. 2 people doing the same task have 48 hours in a day. 3 people doing the same task. So you get all of these people on the same task, and they can get it done just so much quicker. Yes. Because as a business entity, you have to have people working below you in order to get a huge amount of work done, because that's how businesses make money, is they get a humongous amount of work done, because there's so many people working on one thing, you know?
So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much if you've listened to this point. I'm sure you've got a lot of value. Send me a DM, send me a message about what you thought about this podcast, and if you'd like to come on and what value you have to give. I'm pretty sure you're going to be seeing these guys or hearing them more often, because there's a pin in this conversation. This conversation did not go all the way that I wanted it to go, because I wanted to continue. But yeah, just let me know what you think, and make sure that you like and subscribe, and share this if it provided some value to you. Yeah, have a good day.
And I second that for the viewers watching on my channel. Even though Fetty completely took over the podcast, and it's technically is now, but it's fine. It's fine.
It just happened.
Yeah.
It just happened. Yeah, cool.
Thank you, everyone.